Welcome back to the 67th episode of the BatChums podcast. I'm Drew Leiter, and joining me tonight is my co-host, the man, the myth, the puzzle, Mike Gordon.
Howdy! Why, I'm puzzled that you would say such a thing, Drew. This one's a puzzler, that's for sure. Uh, very, very, this is one. Do you remember this one at all?
No, I don't.
I, I don't know why.
I can I can barely remember it from watching it the other day.
Wow. Okay. So I guess we're in for that kind of episode.
So this is Batman season 2 episode 31, The Puzzles Are Coming. Episode aired Wednesday, December 21st, 1966. So we're just a few days till Christmas. Directed by Jeffrey Hayden and written by Fred DeGorder. I hope I pronounced that correctly.
Yeah. Jeffrey Hayden, the director, only directed these two episodes of the series, this one and the next one. He did a lot of other TV shows, including we talked about Shane, the TV series. He actually directed a couple of episodes of The Incredible Hulk, Magnum PI, and a bunch of episodes of Knight Rider. And he was married to Eva Marie Saint. He passed away in 2016, but he directed mostly TV, a couple features here and there. But this is only two episodes of the Batman series. Fred DeGorder, the writer, actually contributed to a season one two-parter, which was a Riddler two-parter. Riddler a day keeps the Riddler away. And when the rat's away, the mice will play. That was episodes 11 and 12 in season one. So I guess it should be no surprise that this script featuring the puzzler was originally intended to be a Riddler story. It was supposed to be called A Penny for Your Riddles, and then They're Worth a Lot More is the second part. Now, because of all the contract dispute going on with Frank Gorshin, because he had actually been nominated. He might have even won an Emmy for his role as the Riddler. So coming into this season, he was he was a little bit more difficult to get, let's say. So they were disputing contracts with him, and then they just decided to go ahead and replace the Riddler here with a new villain. At first, the villain was going to be called the Conundrum. And the two-parter was then called The Conundrums Are Coming, The Duo is Slumming. But uh, they uh, they then modified it, changed the conundrum uh, character to the puzzler.
Did they say
And
why? Was it because the puzzler was easier to remember or say, or
probably, but now there is an obscure DC Comics villain called the Puzzler. He fought Superman. He made his debut in Action Comics number 49, 1942, and appeared in an issue of Superman number 20, 1943. As far as I know, those are his only two appearances before this episode. So it's doubtful that they used him. But yeah, because the puzzler in the comics, his trademark is half of a nail puzzle, which simply resembles a bent nail, and he claims to be the world's most brilliant checkers expert. That's 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 the kind of foe Superman was going up against. Anyway, so yeah, um, so I don't know if they were aware that because nowadays you just be like, well, they had the rights to the puzzler, right? Because it was a DC the guy. I don't know if that was the case here. So in any case, he doesn't really resemble the DC Comics puzzler at the time. And I think it's pretty obvious from a lot of things in here that it was supposed to be a Riddler two-parter. Because sort of like they already kind of mix it up with the Joker, right? Like, they do the hints and then, in the last two-parter that we have with Catwoman, she was confusing, muddying the waters even more by just like acting like other villains, like using their modus operandi. So, yeah, I guess it's not uncommon for the Gotham police to get a riddle in the mail, a message, a hint, a clue, but then it's on them to figure out if it's from the Riddler, the Puzzler, the Joker, or Catwoman, or whoever. So, anyway, that's the story there, but yeah, it's originally supposed to be a Riddler episode.
Commissioner Gordon is talking with Warden Crichton about the overcrowding at the penitentiary when suddenly a model airplane flies through his window, causing an explosion.
Can we just can we just so Gordon is on the phone with Crichton, which is cool. Now, in that discussion, of course, Gordon says, "Well, the overcrowding of prisons is because it's entirely because we're so good at our jobs."
You mean Batman is?
He doesn't say that. He just hints that, they're so good at their jobs that they're filling up the penitentiary. But any case, yes, a jet flies in.
So I kind of skipped over the scene where we had the villains on the, was it a penthouse um next door, wasn't it?
Yeah, across the street. Yeah, yeah, which I think belongs to a character that we'll be introduced to later. Yeah, we do get to see the puzzler and his crew. And so I will now take it upon myself to, now that we know that the puzzler is involved, let's find out about the actor and the actors playing his crew. The puzzler is played by Maurice Evans, who was around from 1901 to 1989. Are you familiar with Maurice Evans?
I'm not.
He was a actor, English actor of stage and screen. Actually, Alan Napier played along on stage with Evans in Richard II at the Old Vic in London. So they had a familiarity with one another. He did a lot of actually Shakespearean work. He played in TV adaptations of Macbeth, The Tempest, Hamlet, all in the 60s. He also appeared on shows like Man from U.N.C.L.E. He appeared in two episodes of that in 1966. And he worked up until like the 70s, late 70s, 80s. He was actually in the movie The Jerk, 1979. He is most known for two things, though, besides being the puzzler, of course. But he is most known for two roles, one of which was a recurring role that he had in the series Bewitched. He played Samantha's father. Maurice. Uh,
Okay, I probably saw him then in that.
yeah, because he had like 9 or 12 appearances, something like that. And I'm sure you're familiar with this character. He played Dr. Zaius in the 1968 movie Planet of the Apes, and
Oh,
a
yep.
couple of the sequels as well. So he is now. I'm going to have that the Simpsons Dr. Zaius song in my head, but now that I've said it out loud. So anyway, so he's a pretty well-regarded actor of note. His crew. Let's start with his mall, Rocket O'Rourke, played by Barbara Stewart. She was had a lot of performance. She had a lot of roles as well. She was in an episode of The Twilight Zone in 1960. She played she had a recurring role in the series Gomer Pyle as a character named Bunny from 1964 to 1968. So she was doing that a long time alongside the time that she was doing this Batman show. And she worked until the late 80s, 90s as well. She's actually has a pretty decent role. You might remember her as Mrs. Kramer from the movie Airplane in 1980.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
yeah, but she passed away in 2011. And then as far as the henchmen go, interesting here, the henchmen all have mustaches, which is unusual, as the villain's henchmen almost are always clean shaven in Batman. I don't know if you've noticed that, but this is the first time that we've had them all with mustaches. These are just some workhorses, guys that are just show up in TV episodes, movies, the occasional movie. Glider is played by Alan Emerson, who was in Get Smart, 1965. He was in an episode of The Monkees, 1967. He was in two episodes of Bewitched, playing two different characters, and he will appear again in Batman season 3. as a different character. Ramjet is played by Jay Delta, who he was started acting, I think, in the 50s. He was in an episode of Sea Hunt. Before he did this, he was also in an episode of The Man from U.N.C.L.E., 1964. He played a controller in the Batman movie. And he worked into the late 80s, 90s as well. He's in Lethal Weapon 2, 3, and 4, actually, playing different characters in each one of those movies. And then we have Blimpy, played by Robert Miller Driscoll. He did a lot of acting as well. He was in an episode of Wild Wild West in 1966, episode of Mission Impossible 1972, The Rockford Files 1977, and so on and so forth. Those are their notable appearances, but they appeared in so much more. These guys were just guys that just showed up and filled spots in casts. So nobody of like big note that went on to become like huge or anything, but they're all solid, I think.
Chief O'Hara comes rushing into the commissioner's office to make sure he is all right. They found a note attached to the model plane that reads, I know a blank where the wild time blows. Inside out, the puzzle goes. Are you thinking what I'm thinking, Chief O'Hara? Aren't I always commissioner? The puzzler has come to confound and confuse them.
Yeah, because that was their first guess.
Yes. If they didn't call the uh, if they didn't call the overworked Batman on this caper, they would be shirking their responsibilities.
Sure, they're only doing what a decent law-abiding citizen would do.
At Wayne Manor, Dick Grayson is practicing his bird calls. Aunt Harriet is proud when a bird answers Dick's call. Bruce
What
adds that his bird calls are near perfect.
now? I'm no bird expert, so maybe you could help me out here. But it looked to me like that bird was a robin.
Oh, you know what? I didn't pay that close of attention.
I think he was talking to one of his own. I think he was talking to a robin. Robin talking to Robin.
That could very well be. I didn't pay that close of attention.
But I'm terrible with my partner Michelle. She knows birds left and right and every way to Sunday. But I am never been that great at spotting birds. So or identifying them. So she's much better at that. So I might have to pull her and ask her. But
She wasn't watching the episode with you.
she was not. She was not.
Alfred appears and whispers to Bruce that he has a call on the bat phone. Bruce tells Dick he can finish practicing his calls out at White's Pond while he goes fishing. Bruce and Dick race off, and Aunt Harriet comments to Alfred that those two are always on the move. Alfred comments, youth.
He's he Dick's really into the bird communication because he's having that conversation, like a real conversation with that Robin, because because Bruce has to try a few times to get his attention, right, Dick? So they must have had been talking a lot about, comparing notes of what it's like to be a Robin. I'm gonna say it's a Robin. I don't even want to find out if it's not now.
Apparently, Robin has latent mutant abilities. Well, it shouldn't be mutant. We're not in
No,
Marvel
he's
here.
a metahuman.
Metahuman.
That's right. That's right.
I'll just blame that on playing Marvel Snap. Batman and Robin arrive at police headquarters. Holy deposit slip. Bank spelled backward is Knab. Artemus Knab, one of the richest men in the world, and he is right here in Gotham. He must be Puzzler's target, being an aviation monopolist. Batman.
And all sorts of monopolists
Yes,
too.
I noticed he was a monopolist of a lot of stuff.
They really make that point home. Yeah. Yeah, he's a play on Howard Hughes, really, who was known for owning interests in tons of different industries, movie making, but particularly aviation as well. So he's definitely Howard Hughes is definitely the model for this, although Uh, I don't think it's, yeah, you can't tell by the name.
Batman and Robin enter Artemus Knab's penthouse to find Artemis and the puzzler playing Monopoly.
Okay, so before we do that, now I see I gave you a chance, Drew, but you skipped over it. Once Batman and Robin leave, I think Gordon and O'Hara have one of the best exchanges because as soon you know where I'm going with this,
Yep.
because as soon as they're out the door, Gordon says, "Whoever they are beneath the mask, they," and O'Hara just cuts him off, and he's like, "You've said that before, Commissioner. Like, come on, give it a rest." And Gordon is not to be deterred. He's like, "And I'll say it to my dying day, Chief O'Hara." Like, he's like, he is convinced. He's always going to sing the praises of the dynamic duo whenever he gets a chance. So as soon as the door's shut, I think he's much more comfortable doing that
You're right. That was a good interaction, and I kind of skipped over it because it's getting old. I'm
now.
with Chief O'Hara on that one.
Even O'Hara's like, come on, man, like this again, really? So yeah, we meet Artemis Knab. He is played by Paul Smith, who is an actor of note as well. Did a lot of things, a lot of TV. He's in an episode of Dragnet before this, 1957. He's in an episode of My Favorite Martian, 1964. He's in an episode of Man from U.N.C.L.E., 1964. He was in, speaking of Bewitched, he was in 9 different episodes of Bewitched over the
Oh,
course of
wow.
all those seasons, and he played 9 different characters. He never played the same guy twice, so he popped up all the time. And to your interest, Drew, he was in an episode, a two-parter, I think, of Little House on the Prairie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'll have to let Calista know that. All right. So Artemis tells Batman that him and the puzzler are business partners. Artemis is backing Puzzler's puzzler balloon advertising idea. The puzzler gives Robin a sample balloon, stating he is obviously not too old to play with balloons. Robin states he's old enough to recognize a bunko artist when he sees one.
They're not, the exchanges here are kind of cool. I mean, Robin is really like chomping at the bit to just like punch this guy or something. And Bruce is like, or Batman rather, is all he can do is just to hold the kid down. But it's really strange because earlier when they get the note, Gordon and O'Hara seem like they've heard of the puzzler before. But then when Batman and Robin come into this apartment, to Nab's apartment, Knab's apartment, they uh they introduce themselves as if they've never met before. And I'm just like, okay, this is really wacky. Like I know things are, kind of because it was supposed to be a Riddler story, things might have gotten like overlooked when it was being rewritten and all that. So it is kind of weird though how there's not really a lot of consistency here. Usually they're a bit better than this. And by the way, I should point out too that this whole set of Knab's apartment, it's the same set for Britt Reed's house on the Green Hornet. So for those people who follow the sister show of Green Hornet, um, yeah, that's why this set should look familiar.
Interesting. Batman and Robin go to leave by window, but Artemis insists they use the door. It is faster that way.
You know, it might be faster, but we lose out on a cameo.
That is true.
We don't we don't get a cameo in this episode, and that I blame Artemis Knab for that because if they'd gone down through the bat ropes, I think we would have got a cameo.
I have to say, though, they entered through the window, so we could have gotten the cameo that way, too. So
Yeah,
they were
well,
slacking
they
there.
they were in a rush, so
Back at the Batcave, Batman and Robin check out the sample balloon. After blowing it up, they find a puzzle on it that reads, if you knew a hawk from a handsaw, would you know a parrot from a plane? Holy flight plan! Artist Knob's coming out party for his new plane. A
we
short
we the puzzles that are said here are they're riddles too, but they're not I have to give them, on the one hand, I have to give them credit because they're not using the back computer to solve any of these. The and another thing that's weird too is that Robin's not solving any of these. We've had a couple of episodes now where Robin like actually corrects Batman. Is like, no, this is what it means, right? And Batman's like, what? But in this two, at least in this episode, almost every time there's a puzzle, Robin just is looks like he's just got his mind on singing to the birds or something because he just doesn't look like he knows what's going on. And to be quite honest, I'm right there with him because none of these puzzles seem to make sense to me. I mean, we talk about bat logic, but this is just like some of these are just indecipherable. And how they get the information that they're supposed to get out of these just doesn't make any sense to me at all. So I don't know if they rewrote the riddles for this as well, but man, there's just some crazy stuff going on here.
Won't argue with that. A short time later, at the Gotham City airport, Artemus Knab reveals his new plane, the Retzer.
Yeah,
When
it's you know what Retzer is backwards? It's Rooster.
Rooster. Okay.
Yeah, it's Rooster. Now, the prize plane of Howard Hughes was called the Spruce Goose. Goose, Rooster, there you go.
Yeah, there you go. When Ar when Artemis leaves, the puzzler's henchmen deliver puzzler balloons to the party. When the puzzler gives the signal, his henchmen put on masks and start popping the balloons. The invisible gas that is released seems to freeze their victims in place. When the henchmen steal the guest's jewelry and bring it to the rocket, and the puzzler tells her to return to the factory while they wait. I wrote that weird.
Just remember, Rocket is a woman.
Yeah, I I I knew that. I
They
just
didn't bring
I
it to the Rocket. They brought it just to Rocket. No, no, I get it. It's kind of crazy. And once again, we're seeing because we've noticed that suddenly this season that the villains have these devices that can just do these crazy, insane things. Now they can freeze people in place, just an odorless gas, which is great because I think a lot of people are tired of inhaling that thick gas that they use. But because man, Gordon got a bunch of it and early in the when the bomb went off in his office. Man, it looked like he inhaled a ton of it, and he was coughing through that entire scene. I'm sure it was just Neil acting up, but still, that stuff has got to be potent. So, anyway, all the extras and everything don't have to deal with that gas stuff, that thick gas to inhale. Instead, they just have to stay in place.
Batman
And
and
go ahead.
Batman and Robin arrive at Knab aircraft to catch the puzzler in the act. The puzzler orders his henchmen to release the gas from the balloons. Batman and Robin are frozen in place, just like the others.
Yeah, and at this point, the crew's like, let's dispose of them now. And of course, the puzzler's like, no, I've got something better in mind. So let's just leave them alone. Like, wow, that's crazy. I don't, if this was originally written for the Riddler, there's no way the Riddler would miss out on an opportunity like that.
Nope, no way. The puzzler takes pictures of the cockpit of Artemis's plane and then leaves more puzzles.
That's what he does. He's a
back
puzzler.
back at the back at the Batcave, Batman and Robin examine another balloon with a puzzle on it. What letter is ne'er received in the alphabet? Answer: one you put in the mailbox. Batman pops the balloon and finds another puzzle inside. Yea, verily, the answer is a fence in this world's globe. Yeah, they don't make any sense, do they?
Well,
Of
and then they go further and they get to like, fence and then post finally. It takes him forever though to get to from fence to post to back to fence again, and it just and a post is like a letter as well, and that Robin's trying that whole thing, and Batman's like, nah, I don't think so. Just and it's just they're just back and forth, and it's like, man, you guys usually just cruise right through these clues. Why are you just lingering on these clues? It's not helping the pacing of this episode, I can tell you that.
No. Of course, Robin reveals that a fence is someone who buys stolen jewelry, but Batman disagrees. The hammer spring of a gun lock is also called a fence.
Yep.
After a few minutes of discussion, Batman realizes the old globe balloon factory is adjacent to the railroad yard.
Now, the old Globe factory, Globe Theater is the famous theater that Shakespeare wrote and they performed a lot of plays in when he was alive and doing his work. So, and we haven't really talked about that before. We haven't talked about that yet. So, I think we kind of hinted at it, but when we talked about the fact that Maurice Evans was in this role. But he's not just a puzzler because they add, he doesn't just play with puzzles and he has a fixation on aviation, but he also has, and this is weird because usually Bat villains only have like one quirk, right? They only have one thing. Like Catwoman has cats, right? Like yeah, Joker has jokes, Riddler has riddles, et cetera, et cetera. This guy, the puzzler, has got not only has he puzzles, but he's also interested in aviation and he likes to quote Shakespeare. And Maurice Evans does a great job at quoting the Shakespeare. It kind of adds a little bit of flair to what is obviously a dime store Riddler. So it does add a little bit more class to it. But yeah, unfortunately, when it translates to scenes where like you said, they spend a few minutes trying to decipher this clue, and it's kind of painful to watch, actually. I mean, I love watching uh, Adam and Bert do their thing, but man, it just seemed like they were just going back and forth and back and forth, and I was like, let's kind of move, people. We got a show to go through. Like, really? So, yeah, this one has some weird problems, I think, when it comes to tempo.
Batman and Robin arrive at the old globe balloon factory and ask the secretary to see the puzzler. Batman and Robin enter into the back room and a fight ensues with Puzzler's henchmen.
The
And I thought that
secretary, of
scene was
course, is Rocket.
Rocket, of course. And what's weird about it, it was just a waste of a scene, really, because they were going back there no matter what. So I don't know. I thought it was a dumb scene.
It was yeah, yeah. She tries to like say that he's not there, that he won't see them or whatever, but they go right through. So it does. Yeah, you're right. It doesn't matter.
Puzzler's henchmen are losing the fight, so the puzzler takes action, hitting the dynamic duo with venom tip model airplanes. Batman and Robin fall unconscious.
Okay, so the darts or airplanes or whatever he's hitting with are pretty cool looking, and that's a pretty effective thing. And some of the fight sequences are. There's one weird scene though where uh Blimpy is like bouncing on, on Robin, and Robin's like, "Help me, Batman!" It just looks very strange. And I don't know. I think it's because usually they shoot in these like little big sets or whatever, and this is like seemed like it was an open. And for some reason, it seemed to me that it was they had a lot more light in this room than usual because I could really see the stunt guys this time. Like there was no doubt about it. Like there was stunt guys. It wasn't Adam and Bert hardly at all doing these fights, and that really kind of took me out of it as well. So yeah, this episode seems kind of sloppy in a lot of ways. I'm not surprised that Jeffrey Hayden, the director, didn't get to do more.
Holy Graf Zeppelin! The puzzler has put Batman and Robin in a hot air balloon. When the balloon reaches 20,000 feet, the basket will detach from the balloon, plummeting the dynamic duo to their death. One of the henchmen offers Batman and Robin some gum, but they refuse. The henchman throws a wrapper into the basket, and Robin calls him a litter bug.
Yeah, that's not going to come into play later.
Yeah, I know. Horror of horrors. There is no escape. The altimeter is rising fast. Is there is this the last hurrah for the dynamic duo? Can anything save them? We can only hope until tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel.
It's an interesting cliffhanger. I like the fact that it's outdoors. We don't get to see those too often. And it's an interesting, even with the clue of having or the foreshadowing of having a gum wrapper at their feet. I still don't know how they're going to use that to get out of this. So, I guess we'll just remain to be seen when we watch the next part of this, as well as when Magic Batman schools us as to whether or not what their fate is. But yeah, this is kind of a dud so far. I understand that it wasn't ideal because they had to rewrite it and all that kind of stuff, but I I didn't get much out of this. The fact that you couldn't remember this, and I didn't remember it either, and I know I've watched them all at one point. I didn't remember this guy at all, and that's a shame because Maurice Evans is trying, like he's doing his thing, and he's quoting Shakespeare very well. So I can't blame him, but the script is not great. The puzzles are just indecipherable and the pacing just seems off on this one. It just seems like they're going through things and it not doesn't make any sense. I don't know how you felt, but I'm looking forward to seeing hopefully it's better in the second part and comes together a bit better because we've seen that happen before too, where one part is better than the other. But this first one just seemed kind of uh,
Blah.
blah. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it kind of reminded me of the earlier on in the season when it started off and it was kind of rough, those first few episodes.
Yep. That's what it reminded me of too.
Yeah. So, but it's still Batman 66. We're still in 66. We're not in 67 yet. We're it's still Batman 66. There's still a few fun moments. I do love that exchange. If nothing else, Drew, the fact that O'Hara just is like over it with Gordon is was like that was we haven't seen O'Hara act that way and since he questioned Batman once and Gordon was just beside himself and almost fired O'Hara for it. That was crazy. But so that was kind of a cool moment. And there's some other stuff too, but yeah, this one was a little rough.
All right. Well, that wraps up another episode. Do you have a shout out, Mike?
Less of a shout out, more of a tribute. Just found out recently that we there was recent passing of June Wilkinson, who was a model and actress, and she actually played a character named Evelina in season 3 episodes, Louis Lethal Lilac Time and Nora Clavicle and the Ladies Crime Club. So she appeared as a Batman character in season 3. We haven't gotten to her yet. So obviously, when we do, we'll talk more about her and her career. But yeah, it's always sad to. I mean, it's hard to believe, but a lot of these people are still around who worked on this show, and they're fewer and far few. They're getting fewer and fewer. But if you that's just reiterates that if you have an opportunity to see some of these folks at conventions or appearances or something like that, definitely seek them out. Or a lot of them do stuff online too, where you can reach out to them via social media, and they have websites, and you can get autographs and stuff like that too. So let them know. Let them know that you enjoyed their work. But yeah, it is sad to see that she passed. She was born in 1940 and just passed away this year. So we send our heartfelt condolences to her friends, family, and her fans.
All right. And for my shout out, last week I went to the Hall of Heroes
The Hall of
comic
Heroes.
superhero museum, and it was awesome.
Now, that is in Indiana. I
Yes,
know
it's
this
in.
because we saw the leaflets when we went to the Batman Museum in March, and I was very intrigued. And I know you have a personal connection with the museum and the museum owner too. So tell us about your experience. That sounds really, it does it, it sounds really cool.
It was really cool. They had a lot of merchandise in there.
Where
Lots
is
of.
it located?
Oh, it's located in Elkhart, Indiana.
Okay, so where
So
is that in relation to everything?
it's about 3 hours north of Indianapolis.
Wow, okay, so that's even further along than the Batman Museum.
Yeah. So and when I got there and went inside, the guy told us they had a Marvel section and a DC. So they had the museum split up into two.
Ah.
So we went through the Marvel section first, and they have tons of action figures and comics and stuff and display cases in there. You can just go through and they got a lot of stuff. So
Hmm.
we went through the Marvel section first and then through the DC section. But the thing we want to know the most is that they had an Adam West Batman costume there.
Wow. Wow.
So, and I'll put a picture of that in our newsletter.
Now, with your shirt, who, for those people listening, the shirt that Drew is wearing has the Hall of Heroes logo on it, and the logo looks similar to the Hall of Justice. I take it the building doesn't look like the Hall of Justice, or does
N
it?
no, but the previous building they used to be in did because
Oh.
I saw pictures of it in the past. So they used to have a building that did look like the Hall of Justice.
Ah, well, that's a bummer
So,
that they moved,
but
but I
they had
mean,
to move because they needed a bigger space.
gotcha, gotcha. And it's basically a museum slash memorabilia. Look at my memorabilia, all the stuff that I've amassed over the years, and it all eras of DC and Marvel.
Yes, all eras. And there's all sorts of stuff in there. And I figured we can go into more detail on that when we make our trip there. Because
I do plan on hitting that. I mean, it does sound like it's going to be a trip though. It's 3 hours from Indy. Woo, that's a. Be honest with you, Drew. I didn't know you could go 3 hours and still be in Indiana.
so,
But
but it's worth it. They have a lot of stuff there, probably more stuff than they had at the Batman Museum.
wow. Well,
So
of course, but it's cool that they still had some Batman stuff. And so this was an actual outfit that Adam wore in the show, or was it just a replica?
I think it was an outfit he wore. I don't know if it was on the show or if it was his personal bat suit.
Oh, like he did when he did conventions and stuff, when he did appearances. Like I saw him at
Yeah.
a car show and he was wearing the Bat gear. So
So
yeah,
this
that's
might be
right.
his personal bat suit, but he wore it. So
Gotcha. That's cool. That's good. It's got his DNA in it.
yes. So they had other cool stuff there. They had a Batman 66 pinball machine, which I had fun playing.
Oh man, that sounds really cool.
So they with your admission, they have a few pinball games, a couple video games there you can play, just a handful. But the Batman 66 pinball was the highlight. That's what I re that's what I really enjoyed playing. So you just go up there, press the button, you can just play as many times as you want. So but they got a lot of other cool stuff there, but I don't want to give too much stuff away. So we have something for our episode when we both go there. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, we talked about it before. Batman Museum in Logan's Port, right?
yes.
Logansport,
Yep.
Indiana. And now the Hall of Heroes. It sounds cool. We already talked about, well, we kind of referenced the Doctor Who store that's just outside Indianapolis. There's some toy places too. Man, Indiana just sounds like a geek nirvana. Sounds like there's a lot of cool places to go. And yeah, I can't wait to experience it myself. So,
Well, they got Gen Con going on this weekend,
oh
and
yeah, that's pretty
it's
insane.
sold out. All they have signs up down there already
I
that
think
all
that's bigger
tickets.
than the Indiana Comic Con, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I think they bring in around 80,000 people, I
Phew.
believe. Yeah, it's sold out for all 4 days already.
Wow, that's crazy.
So I know it's crazy. I don't ever remember it being sold out like that. So, But my son's working down there, um, helping hand, he helping at the will call hand out badges.
Nice.
So yep, that's going on this weekend. So yep, busy time in Indianapolis this weekend. All right. If you'd like to comment on anything we've talked about tonight, you can reach us at our feedback line, 317-455-8411. Text us, leave us a message, or you can email us at batchumspodcast@gmail.com. All right. You ready to get out of here, Batchum?
BatChums are ready to move out.
Atomic batteries to power, turbines to speed. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Same puzzling time, same puzzling channel.
Don't worry. The worst is, I hope, not yet to come, because I hope it doesn't get worse than this.